So the government just keeps doing more and more to prevent people, or at least giving the perception that they're going to try to prevent people from growing gardens and small farms. I've told you several times that the government keeps getting more restrictive. And I'm going to get into this quite a bit in this video, but I wanted to show you that if you're going to think about doing something that can preserve your lifestyle that you enjoy right now, let's say it's eating meat, like I do, eating meat products, you need to take action now. You need to start thinking about how you're going to start producing your own food. Now, I know a lot of people talk about gardens. I do not personally think a garden can sustain you for very long if that's all you're going to do. You got to have meat products. And I know a lot of people say, well, I'll just go hunting. I mean, I just saw a video on that today. But if everybody is hunting, think about this, there's not going to be much to hunt. I wanted to show you our eggs. We got different colored eggs here. We got either New Hampshire's here or Buff Orpington eggs. Not sure the brown ones are. And then these are Americanas. These guys are Americanas. And then we just got another Buff Orpington to start producing. Actually, two of them, I think. I don't know if that's one of them or not. And they were nested by a chicken of ours. So the two small ones are now producing their own eggs. Then we got, I think, I don't know, 6 maybe that we incubated. They're not producing yet. They should be producing, but it's getting late in the year. If they don't start producing pretty soon, they may not produce at all. They're Americanas, at least half-blooded Americanas. Some of them are full-blooded Americana. And they don't produce during the winter. Now, that being said, we've got some Brahmas. They should be producing really soon also, and they do produce through the winter. So we should be getting another batch of chickens producing. The Brahmas, I think we got 5 of them, 4 or 5 Brahmas, hens, and then 2 males. And those are also, when we incubate those, they'll be used for meat birds. We'll butcher those. They're huge. The males are already huge, but they get up to 10 pounds. So that'll be a nice sized meal, and we won't have to incubate as many as those to get the same amount of meat as we do with the Americanas. Americanas are real small. They're 4 to 6 pounds. But recently I made a video, and it's doing pretty good, where I talked about the governments throughout the country, including Canada, are banning fertilizers, making it more difficult for farmers to produce food. I think it's in Ireland. They made it where you had to reduce your greenhouse gases by 50%. And really the only way they could do that was stop using fertilizers or reducing fertilizers by 50%. And if you raised cows, they had to reduce their herd by 50%. There was no other way to do it. And it had to be approved by court, whatever it was decided that they were going to do. Well, some of the technologies to do that in order to maintain their current herd size was just too cost prohibitive. So they just cut it down. So this is a reduction in food. Here in the United States, we're shipping a lot of our food. Now, I'm not saying that we're in trouble or anything. I don't know. I just don't know. But what I do know is it appears that our government obviously is restricted a little bit by the Supreme Court and the Constitution. So they're trying to figure out ways to reduce the amount of food that we can produce just by making it difficult. If you grow a garden now, the USDA, I don't know, one of those alphabet organizations are now wanting you to register your garden. Now, it's under the pretense that they're going to help you grow a great garden, and all this community is going to come together and you're going to all share on secrets on how to grow a perfect garden. But anytime you register something with the government, it becomes more restrictive over time. And that's how our government has always worked. They don't come out and just say, okay, we're going to ban gardens, or you're going to have to share gardens. That's how they sneak in. So from my opinion, I suspect what they'll do, and I think a lot of people suspect this, is over time, they're going to see that this minority group didn't have a very successful garden this year, but this majority group did. So in order to share and be equitable, we'll have to give our food, that group that had a good crop of vegetables, we'll have to share with the folks that didn't, just because you registered. Now, that's my conspiracy theory. I try to stay away from conspiracy theories, but I can't figure out any other way why you would need the government to tell you how to grow a garden. All you had to do is get on YouTube. I mean, it's not that complicated to grow a garden, and there are lots of people out there willing to share their crop with you. They just love to tell you how great of a gardener they are, and a lot of it is really good information. So I don't see the point in and needing a government organization and taxpayer funded websites so I can register my garden, but I'm sure people will do it because they see the benefit of getting information from the government. Then I made a video over the summer where I talked about the bird flu. Now, a lot of people don't even think the bird flu is a real thing. I don't know if it is or not. Don't really care. What I do know is if the government decides that your flock has the bird flu, you have to call your flock. You have to get rid of your flock. And they did that. It was a terrible high number. 40 million birds were killed over the summer from bird flu. Here in Missouri, Iowa, just all over the country, had to kill their flocks. Now, what was interesting to me about this is the bird flu was being carried by bigger wild birds. So I don't know, geese maybe, I don't know. The droppings were carrying the flu. And so what was happening, the farmer would walk through the dropping, carry it into the chicken confinement, and then all the chickens would get it. But here's what's strange, is chicken confinements now are regulated, my understanding, that they have to wear booties into their confinement before they go into the confinement. And they have to sanitize their hands. I know that when we went to get the Brahmas, we went into the hatchery and they had a mat on the floor right at the door. And they had a big sign that said, please soak your feet in the mat. And then you'd step up and you dry your feet. And it was a bleach solution that you were stepping in to clean your feet. So the hatchery was taking precautions not to bring the bird flu into the hatchery. Wouldn't you think a guy who's got 1 million chickens would take some precautions so they wouldn't have to basically burn their chickens to death? So it seems suspicious to me that they were having to call so many chickens. Then they started going after backyard chickens, which really concerned me. And here's what I'm thinking with that is people who were selling their eggs were getting caught up in that mess. And then a while back, I made another video where I told you a long time ago, 10, 15 years ago, probably more like 15 years ago, I had duck eggs and chicken eggs, just a little backyard farm. I mean, that's all it was. It's just a real small thing. And the USDA came out and told me I couldn't sell my eggs anymore. Now I was just selling it to the neighbors. Friends of my daughter is basically who we were selling it to. A few others, but it was through her relationships with the neighborhood that we were selling eggs. I'm not a big people person, but she loved to go out and play with the kids. And their mom and dad would say, hey, can we have some duck eggs? And it wasn't like I was trying to sell them. I didn't have a sign up or anything, but they told us we couldn't sell them anymore. So the government intervenes all the time with this kind of stuff. And I see this in the comment section all the time. Well, just sell your eggs or do trading and all this stuff. It's kind of not really allowed. And then I'm sure I'm going to hear somebody say, well, I don't care what the government tells me. I'm going to do whatever I want. Well, that's fine until you go to jail. Then you won't do whatever you want. I don't care if you think there's a constitution involved or not. I agree that a lot of things are unconstitutional. You know, we just heard of a Amish guy, maybe 2 of them, that's had all kinds of problems with the USDA. Selling milk and beef to what he was calling a membership. He was selling a membership. I don't know, let's say the membership was $1,000. And you come in and get all the meat you wanted for a year. That was a membership. Well, they got him. And then there was another one with milk. I don't know, it might have been the same guy. He's in all kinds of mess with the court system. He's got lawyers. And so they really are coming after us. Well, the latest and the greatest is now they want food manufacturers. I don't know, maybe chicken processors like Tyson. I don't know who. They now want, the government, I say they, the government now wants Tyson, for example, to report all emissions that it took to get their chickens. Now what will happen is Tyson will go back to their suppliers, their chicken suppliers, and they'll say, okay, what kind of emissions did your chickens produce while you were doing this? More specifically, let's talk about cows, because everybody says cows produce emissions. So you have to talk about how much emissions each cow produces, and you got to keep a record of everything as a farmer. And then that farmer has to go back and to his supplier for the grains that he feeds his cows and find out how much diesel the farmer used to plant his fields. So it's like a pyramid, you know, it's going to go down and down and down until the very last person has reported all their emissions for food. Well, the farmers are already saying they're not going to be able to afford to do this. I have to keep a database. And if you've ever worked in the automotive industry, you'll know how this works. So with every VIN number on a car, you can go into a database and they can track all the record keeping, and there's tons of record keeping. I've heard before, I used to work in a consulting company. I understand how all this works for the automotive company. And they used to say there's as much paperwork and weight, there's much weight and paperwork as the car weighs. So this database will track, you type in the VIN number, and it can track the ashtray or the headlight, where the manufacturer got it from, what quality criteria were in place, and all the documentation there was to go with that piece. I suspect that's what's going to happen with our farming community, is they're going to have to track all this information, and it will become a paperwork nightmare, just like it is with the automotive industry. I mean, I got paid thousands of dollars for a company to produce a small part. So all I did was produce the paperwork sometimes. It was a great business, sitting at my computer and just typing up paperwork. Well, that's exactly what's going to happen now, is these farmers are going to have to hire guys like me back then to produce all this paperwork. And it's going to cost thousands of dollars to say how much their tractor was using in gas, diesel fuel, how much their cow burped. So if you have ever thought about raising your own food, now's the time. It just seems like it's getting crazier by the day, and we see inflation hitting record numbers. We see the shelves getting more empty. I mean, we just went shopping not that long ago, and I really saw a notable difference in prices. Fortunately, we're getting so many eggs now that we can have eggs 2 times a day. Carolyn's making devil eggs for kind of like a side dish to our meat dish for supper. So that means we don't have to have as much meat for supper, because I get 4 halves, and the devil's eggs have no carbs in them. We looked at the mayonnaise to make sure there was no carbs in the mayonnaise, and then we have eggs for lunch. I've never been healthier in my life. I feel great. I can walk them down this hill. I carried, I forget it was 15 bags of feed on my shoulders a while back. I'd grab one on each shoulder and walk down the hill. That's a long walk too, a steep hill, and back up. I'm all for a carnivorous diet. Eggs are easy to produce, and if you can find enough ways to cook them, you can eat them all day long. Pickled eggs and deviled eggs and hard-boiled eggs. Carolyn makes hard-boiled eggs and puts them in some sort of hot pepper juice, and she'll eat them that way. I'm not big in pepper juice. I don't like hot foods, but she likes to soak them in hot peppers, and she'll eat them that way for a snack. So if you can click this up next box, I'd really appreciate it. Take you over to the video where I talked about all this fertilizer bans that's going all over the country. So I hope I can inspire you to figure out how to feed yourself, because it doesn't look like the farmers will. So you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.